Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. This is a brand new episode, and I'm so happy to be here finally. And today we will be talking about being desperate, desperation. I think for most people, or for each and every person, you have experienced a bit of desperation. You have felt desperate, depending on the context, of course, the situation. Um, for some people, desperation can lead to, a point where there is no return, really. And for some people, they are able to work with that feeling of desperation. I think it's part of the human experience. But particularly today in this episode, we'll be talking about the danger of being desperate. First of all, desperation is highly linked to a flight and fight response. Every time you're in danger, your mind or your thought processing is going to notify your body, is going to notify the systems in your body that you're in danger. So you could either defend yourself, fight, or you could either run away, find a way to avoid that situation. That is flight. So when we are feeling desperate, when you start thinking about so many things, and you begin to feel desperate. This creates a pattern of messages that are sent to your body, that are sent to your whole entire system. And remember that also, this is not a pleasant feeling. It's not a great feeling. Desperation is highly linked to fear. In fact, it stems from fear. I don't have this, I'm desperate. So I have so much fear. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm anxious. I'm fearful. And your body, your mind, your heart, everything that is part of you as a human being will ensure that you react in a way that is either going to somehow avoid the situation, or you're going to fight against the desperation. So let's get into this in a practical sense. If we look at crime, there are crimes. Of course, I'm not talking about crimes that are highly linked to other people, where you are harming other people, where you are taking lives. That's a different type of thing altogether. And I'm not trying to go there, but of course you can think as far as that. That's still quite relevant. But what I'm talking about is theft, for example, robbery, burglary, white collar crimes, corruption, fraud, where people are stealing, where people are taking away from other people in any level, really. You can see, or when you dig deep into it, you can kind of figure out that, oh, this person is trying to maintain a certain image. This person is trying to maintain a certain lifestyle. So they are so desperate to a point where they are just going to steal and take from particular people, or take from whatever or whoever. At that point, they don't care, because when you are desperate, it's a matter of, how can I deal with this deep-seated, rooted fear that is in me? So we see that a lot. And if we look at, for example, corrupt politicians at the top and stuff, or anybody really who has a certain position in society, and you would think, oh, but they have enough already. Like, they earn a big salary. So why are they stealing money? Like, why do they continuously have to steal money and not do what they are supposed to do for people and so on? That's because it's that feeling. It never goes away until you address it. There's no way that it's just going to vanish and go away up until you actually address it. So people never really understand. And particularly in this country, in South Africa, we have seen a variety of interesting crimes that have happened. And of course, two major ones that were in the news that include a lot of identity theft or identity crimes, where people are stealing other people's identities and pretending to live and be in that person's identity and pretend to own that identity. So why is that happening? Don't we ever ask ourselves as to why? Why would someone go so far? Why would someone go so far to actually just steal your whole entire identity and believe that that identity belongs to them? It shows, it really indicates that there is a very deep rooted level of fear and a deep rooted level of identity issues that were experienced there, to a point where the person was so desperate. And over time, remember, these things don't happen overnight. I can't just rock up the next day and say I'm something that I'm not, or I'm this person while I'm not. So it's a build up, it's a build up, it's a build up over time until you actually master it, until you actually feel like you are living in someone else's body and in someone else's identity, until you actually believe that false identity, until you actually believe your own lies. It takes time, but the feeling is still there. And that feeling of desperation requires you to feed it. You need to feed it with something. You need to feed it with something, because that is your fight response. You are trying to defend it, really. Not defend yourself against it. You're trying to defend it. You're trying to validate as to why it's okay to be desperate, and why you're doing the things that you need, that you are doing. You know, it makes it seem like you need to be doing those things. So it is a lot. And the minute we start looking into the psyche, the backgrounds of all these people, these criminals, all these people that are just doing crazy things in the world, you know, a lot of people say, oh no, but we are excusing the behavior. Why do we have to psychoanalyze their background and their childhood past and whatever? You have to, because where you are and who you are right now is highly influenced by what you went through as a child. When you were a child, you were introduced to the world. When you were a child, you were introduced to different types of personalities. You were introduced to the concept and the idea of relationship building, of morality, of values, of standards. You were introduced. So that is your foundation. That is your foundation. Who you are now is really just, I don't know, you know, bits and pieces and fragments of that. And yes, we are adults. We can alter and change and do this, but it's not very easy. It is not very easy. And it is evident. We can tell people that have healed from childhood traumas, that have understood exactly where they come from. And we can tell when it comes to people that haven't done any of that, and they are still living in the past and what they do, because you gotta adult and listen, this is the world and this is how it is. You feel like, I don't have a choice, but I have to make it. But how do you make it? I have to steal, because why does that person have this and that and I don't have it? And maybe if I have more of it, then I will not go back to where I was. And in the interim, you're not realizing the fact that you're no longer in that place. There's no way. I recently said to someone, there's no way that you're going to go back to your past. There's no way. If you have experienced trauma, poverty, abuse, everything that was just terrible and teared you down and affected your childhood, right now where you are, there's no way that you're going to go back and be that child anymore. You're not going to go back to the circumstances anymore. In fact, you have done so much. You should be proud of yourself. You have done so much to be where you are right now. So that's living proof that you're only moving forward. There's no way. If you grew up in poverty, there's no way you're going to go back to that situation ever again. Yeah, maybe right now where you are, it's not the ideal place where you imagine yourself to be, but there is no way. We are moving forward. And as soon as you realize that, that is your key to healing. So to show that those people are not even realizing that there's no way I'm going to be that kid again. There's no way. It shows that there isn't any sort of healing process that they've ever really kind of tapped into, whatever the case is. And I'm not even going to go far and go into, like the big criminals and crime and things and scary things that we see right now, on a daily. Let's talk about witchcraft, because witchcraft is actually done by people that are desperate, to be who you are, done by people that are desperate to have what you have, done by people that are desperate to have your partner, done by people that are desperate to have your money, done by people that are desperate to have your gifts, done by people that are desperate to have your talents and be you. Nobody's talking about that. Witchcraft is also something that has just been on the horizon lately, And I don't know, but with all the people that I'm watching podcasts, so many people that are just really sharing their experiences and so on. What I'm not really, really, really hearing is the fact that people will do these things, these dark spiritual things, simply because they are desperate. No one is analyzing the psyche, the behavior of the person who's doing that act as to why. Desperation, fear. Ooh, I grew up in those conditions. Who is she? Who is he to have this and this and that? So I'm going to try somehow to snatch it away from him. I'm going to try somehow to get his girl, to get his guy. I'm going to try somehow and destroy her peace. No one is talking about it. So I guess I'm just here to just help us realize as to what is going on. What happens to your mental health system when you are desperate? Desperation is fear. What happens? And what options do you have? People choose the light and people choose the dark, but no one is really analyzing as to what is desperation. When you say that you lack something, oh, but I don't have this, but why me? But why this? Also the victim mentality. The victim mentality, when the victim mentality runs for way too long, then it gets to that point of toxicity where you feel like you need to get back. You need to revenge on people, and you end up revenging on innocent people that don't know your story. They have nothing to do with you. They don't know who you are. They don't know. And people, begin to do some crazy, 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 outrageous things to innocent people just because they're desperate. First of all, where was I when you were struggling as a kid, or what? Where was I? Where was I in that? I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. But each and every one of us have gone through difficulties. This is why I always say, I cannot envy another person. And do not envy me. Do not allow yourself to envy me, because if we had to swap, if you had to be me and I had to be you, personally, I would not accept that. I will not accept that, because I have done the work to be where I am today. I have done the work. And I'm going to take the credit and fly with it, because I have done the work. And if I have to swap with you, I don't know if you've done the work. I don't know if you've done the work. So you're going to have this great person. You're going to swap lives or swap bodies or whatever with this person that has done the work and is actively doing the work every day, working on herself every day, working on her shadow side, working on her light side, working on everything. And I don't know if you are doing that, you've done that, you are tempted to, I don't know. So why should I be envious of what you have? Because I don't know what it took, and I don't want to be in, I do not want to be in that. You also wouldn't want to be. Because that means we have to relive the story. That means we need to start at the beginning, right? When we were babies or something, there needs to be a swap. Or I don't know, a crazy thing like that. But I hope we can realize the core of desperation, and not to only realize it in other people, but to realize it in ourselves. When you begin to become a little bit too desperate, you need to just pause. Pause, take a moment. You need to pause and take a moment and really, really think as to why are you so desperate to have something? What is really going on? And are there other ways? Is there someone that you can talk to? Other ways to work around this fear, this need, and this fear of not having something, because desperation is a fear of not having something. So think about it and remember that there are extremes to it. You can either tackle it in a much more healthy, in a calm way, or you will just fall for the trap and snatch, or try to snatch from people, do crazy, malicious things to people that are going to cost you your whole life. And as a matter of fact, that are going to take you back to where you were 10 times worse. In case you're scared and you're afraid of going back to where you were, I feel like desperation can take you 10 times, can magnify your struggles. You'll struggle in a way that you've never, ever, ever expected, because of the consequences of your desperation. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is something to think about and reflect about. We constantly need to keep tabs and check up on ourselves, because no one is going to do it for you anyway. So thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Remember, you can always catch me on my podcast channels on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And just keep learning and taking care of your mental health. I will definitely see you next time. Thank you so much.